Thought I'd seen it all before. A world of trouble knocking at my door. But this ain't like nothing that I recall.
Welcome to In Crisis, Travel Retail Voices, our podcast series in which we speak to travel retail executives around the world about how COVID-19 is affecting their lives and businesses. I'm Dermot Davitt. In this episode, we speak to Ray Hernan, Chief Executive of Rianta International, who's at home in Dublin from where he's managing an international business from Montreal to Muscat. He talks about the speed with which the virus has had an impact on the business, but says there's a plan in place for every location to reopen when the time is right. He talks about partnership and collaboration in the industry in the face of crisis, and also how things might evolve in the new world. He talks about the strain of the situation on people in the business and the big decisions that come with managing teams in the face of uncertainty. Ray begins by talking about a key question. How long will it take for passengers to regain their confidence not just to travel, but to enter the shops and to spend again? And to what extent do you reopen in the face of limited numbers or appetite to purchase?
We have a good, robust plan now for every location in terms of the biggest challenge now is, whilst airports may reopen and indeed planes might start flying again, when does consumers get confidence or passengers get confidence to start flying again? So you're trying to balance, to what extent do you reopen? And, can you reduce your footprint in certain airports? Do you just open pier shops? The consumer feedback is that the appetite to congregate in airports is very low. I don't think until we get a vaccine that really will recover significantly.
And do you have a lot of discretion in terms of how you can reopen?
Now, to be fair, all of the airports that we're engaged have been proactive and working with us and acknowledging the reality of the situation. Our experience so far has been quite good. Again, I think more than ever, there's going to have to be that more collaborative approach between the airports and the retailers and everybody that's operating in an airport, because unless we understand what the airport are planning around the customer journey, etc., it's going to impact our business significantly, or hopefully not so. Another key consideration for us all at the moment is looking at our contracts and getting into the minutiae of what type of clauses are there for such events, etc.
Where are you on that then at this stage?
Look, it's work in progress, but I would say overall airports have been very understanding that, with retail shut, that they have been quite engaging and understanding that paying MAGs, or indeed, like in a lot of airports, even if you don't have a MAG, what is the concession fee and what's the expectation around payment going forward? I must say we've had a good response from airports to work with us, and I think that maybe we've been lucky that, the partnership approach and the JV approach that we've had with a lot of our airports has helped them and us kind of maybe get to a position we're both hurting, and I think nobody's trying to score. There's very limited one-upmanship here. Okay, good. Certainly at the moment, and I think that's that's going to be critical for us all to get back to some semblance of normality. So that's taken a lot of time and effort, and we all get it that airports as well are experiencing their own challenges, and we know that from being very close to Dublin and Cork and being owned by the DAA. So we see it on both sides of the coin. We're no longer just looking at deferrals. It's not a deferral of a payment. It's we're looking for waivers. That's going to be through a negotiation process. But so far, people have been understanding. The reality is people will not make decisions where they're going to leave themselves exposed to the unknown. I suppose what's very clear now, Dermot, it's not just about having a force majeure clause for an event, because you will only get relief in such a clause for the period of the crisis. But we know that there's going to be a crisis within our industry well beyond the health crisis. And how do you deal with that? And that can only be really dealt with in a much more approach around a risk balance within the contractual discussions.
Yeah.
And that's going to take time. I've no doubt about that. There's a number of key stakeholders here. You've got the airports as our, let's call it our landlord. We've got our other stakeholders then within the business, and one is the key suppliers and the brands, and they're having very challenging times as well. And I think no different to us. You're looking at every cost line.
Yeah.
You're thinking about how they support us. They look at every one of us as an individual P&L, and whether they're giving it on margin or whether they're giving it in terms of BA support or CapEx support. Every single one of those aspects is going to be under the microscope now. You could be heavily influenced by the commitment of brands to come into a larger space, or indeed commit to refurbishments or CapEx. Yeah, I think all of that is going to be up in the air now for a period of time.
Right.
I think a key thing as well, Dermot, even in terms of the relationship with the brands, is one of the things that comes through that entices people to buy in stores are the exclusivity of the range, or the exclusive nature of airport-related products. Is that tap going to be turned off now for a period of time? And is that a bit of a double whammy then for retailers in terms of the breadth of offer that they make going forward to the customer?
Yeah.
I think, again, Anthony and the team have really been working hard with the suppliers, both in terms of understanding the recovery plans, putting marketing campaigns in place, and just understanding what's in their pipeline in terms of newness, but also how are we going to reopen, and how are we going to stimulate interest and demand with a customer base that's likely to be very hesitant to engage.
Yeah. What will be the secret there? Will that be simply clarity and simplicity of communication? Probably some discounting, I would imagine, to start with, just to entice people back on price, although clearly as an industry we've been trying to move away from that to an extent in certain categories, at least in recent years. And I guess it's a mix of all those things while making people feel comfortable in the store in an environment they may be iffy about entering.
Well, I think fundamentally it's about giving the customer comfort, and I think one of the challenges for us is trying to understand and get customer insights at a time when very few people are flying. So you're asking people that might fly, well, what will incentivize you or encourage you or discourage you to shop?
Yeah.
And the numbers, they're quite grim at the moment in terms of the appetite to shop or congregate, whether it's in retail or F&B within the airport environment. But I think that's one of the challenges for us now as we reopen. In one way, reopening will allow us to assess on the ground how consumers are reacting to the new norm.
Yeah.
And I think, a massive challenge for all retailers, including ourselves, is that every one of us puts a lot of effort and time into training our frontline colleagues to engage with passengers and, promote and have product knowledge, etc., and communicate that. And that's going to have to be done very differently going forward.
Do you see then the role of omni-channel e-commerce? I know really in the last year you've ramped up your efforts in that area, and really since you came on board that's obviously been accelerated, but is that going to be more critical?
Yeah, look, I think omni-channel is going to be even more front of mind for everybody. Look, I think many of us have said it's no longer a nice thing to have, it's a necessity. And I think going forward, that's even going to be more the case.
Yeah.
And it's about, how do we meet the customer's demands in terms of giving them comfort? And I think it's going to really drive the whole technology piece in terms of, people, we've all spoken about kind of pre-travel comms, making people aware of the offers. How do you bring click and collect much more to the fore? How do we engage with passengers? I think more and more passengers are going to go to the piers, right? And then you're saying, right, how do you capture them there? And, mobile technology and digital technology, etc., I think that's going to be ramped up. We've acknowledged with our team that we need to really continue to drive on the omni-channel experience and come up with ways of making sure we can fulfill the orders and the demands, and I think that whole idea of click and collect, shop and collect is going to become more and more to the fore. I think everyone is going to remain cautious, but shall we say ready to take on any opportunity that might arise, because look, without doubt it's going to be a new world, and whilst it's going to be maybe more uncertain, I think there's going to lots of opportunities are going to come up as well, and it's to make sure that you have the appetite and the herewithal to go after those when they do arise.
Sure.
And in that regard, I think you had mentioned it, Dermot, in the email. I mean, we're lucky. We've been reasonably risk-averse, or we haven't been aggressive in terms of our growth, and it's meant that we, at the corporate level, we have no debt. So, we have reasonable cash. We're managing that well now. So we would like to think that as opportunities do come up, we will have the ability still to bid for those. But we will have to be very disciplined. I think every retailer is going to be very disciplined in the way they approach new business, and does it demand a higher return because it's going to be a higher risk given the uncertainty, etc.
Well, that's interesting that you'll emerge as a retailer with no debt on the balance sheet compared to some of the competitors out there who are in very different positions. Actually, it might not flip entirely the world that we live in terms of the rankings and the status of power rankings, I guess, within travel retail. But it's an interesting thing to consider when you look at the way the new world might shape up and who's going into that in positions of strength.
Yeah, I know, because you wonder, will there be the appetite? I mean, we've had a lot of new entrants into the industry, I suppose, over the last 5-7 years. And I suppose given the uncertainty and maybe the real roller coaster that people have gone through now over the last while, and will airports kind of really now focus on something that we've been trying to push, as you know, for a long time, is that more of that partnership approach to doing business, and I think that's hopefully going to hold us in good stead in terms of the way we have operated in different locations. And I think we are seeing operators maybe being more open and are approaching on that type of model now going forward.
You're managing a business where you've got people from Dublin to Auckland and not all parts in between, but many of them, and clearly there's uncertainty and people worried about their futures and what's tomorrow going to hold for me. How difficult is that as a management team at the core, at the centre, to run and overcome people's fears and just help people get through to the next week, month and so on?
Look, there's a lot of effort going into that and a lot of communication through different mechanisms. I actually was on a call with all of our HR representatives from across our estate yesterday, and they are very much at the coalface with our operations people trying to support staff. I mean, this has evolved from being a health crisis and protecting people from the virus to now one of not just trying to protect lives but protect livelihoods. Right? And that's where it's now becoming, even people are becoming stressed and anxious. And again, how we've had to deal with that situation, Dermot, up to now and going forward has varied in every country, because some governments have been extremely supportive of putting various initiatives in place, and in others less so. So, difficult and challenging decisions are having to be made. And unfortunately, that's going to be part and parcel with our business for a period of time. But, I think we are trying to acknowledge that staff are critical to enabling us to bounce back as quick as possible. It costs money to train people, etc. So you do want to try and get that balance right. But we are moving now into a position where you're thinking more about livelihoods rather than protecting health and well-being, and that's something it is taking up a lot of effort. And what's very clear as well, trying to keep all the teams engaged with each other, working remotely. We were very lucky, I think, probably we're better positioned than a lot of industries from an office perspective, given that a lot of people do travel within the industry, that we were able to kind of start working remotely quite quickly. and it hasn't had any major disruption. It's amazing. You realise the well-being, health and well-being has become very much to the fore now in terms of continuing to have regular conversations with, even just within teams, within offices, never mind the different locations abroad. I think for any retailer, payroll and staff costs is a significant part of your operating expenditure. It's probably the largest after concession fees. So, there is a clear focus on that, unfortunately, but we're trying to not take any rash decisions, right, that ultimately would impact maybe our ability to recover. And it's just trying to get that balance with the cash burn. Has been a key challenge, not just for us, but for everybody.
And I swear one day we're gonna put this out behind us, and come what may, we will survive. I think it's safe to say that better times are gonna find us. Hope it won't be long till this trouble is gone.